Hello and welcome. I'm Mr. Anam. Thank you for joining the Year of the Earth Dog preview call. And I want to give you some information about the basics of Feng Shui today and just give you some ideas so you can take some actions even before the year begins, especially those of you who are watching the video or listening to the audio before the Chinese New Year begins, or otherwise just follow the steps. And we want to make sure that we take advantage of this year and the grounding energies of the earth year, and to really focus on anchoring and embodying the success energies that we are all looking for. Okay, so this is a powerful year to really bring down, anchor, ground, and manifest a lot of the energies or ideas that you have been working toward. The last couple of years were fire years. The element on the earth changes every 2 years, and there are 5 elements in this cycle: earth, fire, wood, water, and metal. And every 2 years there is a shift. And also just to go deeper, those of you who are interested, the even number years are yang energy years. The odd number years are yin energy years. So they're softer energy. So, why does this happen? It's a calculation that has that was developed many thousands of years ago. So, first I want to talk a little bit about Feng Shui, and then let's talk about the characteristics of the year and some of the energies. So Feng Shui is not a superstition. It's actually the art and science of having energy and information flow through a space. So when you notice energy on the planet moving, like let's say, for example, high tide, low tide, high pressure, low pressure, there are all kinds of energy cycles that are playing, and they're working on earth, and they're doing all kinds of things. And Feng Shui includes a bunch of those energy cycles, and the idea behind Feng Shui is to look at how energy flows within a space, and then how do you harness the energy, and how do you shape your environment so that it supports you in your vision. It supports you to create more success, abundance, love, prosperity, alignment, joy, and all the things that you're looking for. So that's the primary objective of Feng Shui. Feng Shui actually literally it means wind and water. And it's those cycles of all these elements and energies on the planet, and looking at how everything flows, and how do you harness the beneficial energies, and how do you neutralize or harmonize the non-beneficial energies. Now, I don't look at things as good or bad energies, and I do my best to push everybody away from some of the really scary terms that's included or that's used in Feng Shui and Feng Shui teachings. My goal is to really give you a broad overview, and to explain you how you can use the cycles and what's empowering for you, how you can take advantage of those energies and really make the year more fun for you. Because when your environment supports you, it is beneficial and you can achieve your goals faster. Let me just give you a very quick example. So think about, you are in a room, and all around you, you have laundry, you have boxes, you have books, you have everything all over the place. So it's an environment that's causing a lot of disturbance. There's a lot of limiting energies because it's not supporting you. There's all kinds of stuff all around you that's piling up, and a part of your brain is thinking, well, I need to clean up. I need to vacuum. I need to remove the boxes. I need to put the books on the bookshelf. I need to donate things that I don't use. I need to throw away things that I don't use. So Now, all those energies are piling up and causing a lot of static in you and a lot of disharmony in you. So there's an energetic disturbance that happens. So even another example, if you go to an area or an event and you notice a lot of people are arguing, there's an energetic disturbance. The energy is not that high, so you won't feel good. So when you have your environment set up in a way that you actually feel good and it supports you, it's beneficial for you, it supports you to create abundance and prosperity and success, then it's empowering for you. So using Feng Shui, using or harnessing the energies of the productive cycles, we shape our environment and we shape our reality so that we can manifest what we desire. So ultimately, that's what we are looking for in Feng Shui. So the last 2 years have been fire energy, and that means the primary influencing element on Earth was the fire element. And we are in the process of shifting from fire to Earth. It's going to be 2 years of Earth. Now, fire was a transformer element, so it brought up a lot of stuff in everybody. So think about what fire does. Fire burns and it transforms energy and information from one form to another form. So fire started up a lot of things in us, a lot of things in politics, a lot of things in different systems, different companies, different governments, different countries. And even in different people in different parts of the world were triggered in many different ways. So now all those energies are out, and our goal, our job, our task is to look at what came up and how do we shift those energies using different processes, and then what are the beneficial things for me? How do I ground those energies now? Now, Earth, unlike fire, helps you to ground, right? Earth helps you to plant seeds, and Earth helps you to nourish the energy to help you grow the seeds. So Earth brings in a lot of supportive energy, a lot of grounding energy. Earth gives you a foundation so you can build on that foundation, and you can build a skyscraper on that foundation if you want. So Earth brings in all those energies. And now the importance of this year and the next couple of years is actually, all the things that got started up in the fire years and all the things that you have been, focusing on or wishing for or, working toward manifesting. Now you can finally bring down and ground those energies on Earth using Earth energy, Earth element, and that's going to support you. So you have the option to create a long-term foundation, because think about it, if you were building a foundation of a company, would you build it on fire? Would you build it on water? Would you build it on Earth? Earth supports you, right? So let's focus this year to bring down the energies and information that you would like to manifest, so that you can bring those down, you can anchor them on Earth in you, you can embody them. And step by step, you can focus this year and next year, especially these 2 years, on manifesting what you desire. So the energies are here. Now we still need to do our part. So we need to do our task. We're still not at a place where we just snap our fingers and something shows up. And that's coming at some point. But at this moment, the vision in the higher plane or in our soul consciousness, whatever you want to call it, is to look at the personality, give the personality task, and throw the personality all kinds of things, issues, challenges, and see how the personality can rise above them. Okay, so Earth year is a powerful year because it helps you to ground, nurture, and embody all those energies. So whatever ideas or goals or visions you have, about launching something, about expanding your business, expanding your company, about bringing out some of your gifts and talents for the planet, about doing things or taking new initiatives, ground those energies on Earth. Allow your space to support you, allow your company, allow your home, allow your office and your environment to support you so that you can build on Earth's grounding or Earth's foundation and allow Earth's energy to nurture you. So there are no good or bad elements. There are just different types of elements, different types of flow, different types of energy. We want to make sure that we harness the energy so we can attract or absorb or use what's beneficial for us, and we can harmonize or neutralize what's not beneficial for us. So that's something that Feng Shui does for us. Again, it's a cycle, it's a system that is like thousands of years old, at least 5,000 years. We have proof of that, probably a lot more. And it's not just an Eastern philosophy or system, because Feng Shui is often connected to the Eastern Asian philosophy. But even when analysts, people who look at a lot of these things, they looked at castles in Europe, or temples or places in South America or in different parts of the world. They have found similar principles like Feng Shui. So it's a system that has come to Earth in many different ways, and many different cultures have called it by many different names. But the idea is the same. How do we harmonize our environment and make it support us? And the system of Feng Shui actually is the most detail-oriented among all these existing systems on the planet, and that's why we look at Feng Shui. And I don't look at the souped-up Western Feng Shui version of Feng Shui that's more recent, that has a lot of assumptions. I really look at the original Feng Shui, because I studied many years ago with people who were trained by some of the masters and grandmasters of Feng Shui, and I looked at how do I harmonize my environment. That was my personal journey, because I have always been sensitive to energy. And when I learned or studied about Feng Shui, I understood the cycles, and I noticed that energetically I was already doing a lot of the things. If you looked at my closet, you would find certain color clothing that would support me. I didn't know about them, but when I learned about Feng Shui, I looked up that information, and I noticed that I was doing a number of those already. One of the things I started doing, when I first learned about traditional Feng Shui, is to set up my home, office, and environment by moving objects or placing objects the way traditional Feng Shui is done. And it's a great method, but it's also very time consuming. But it's a method that has worked for many thousands of years. How did it work? Because those who are sensitive to environment, or who can see the flow of energy, they can move into or go into a place that's properly Feng Shuied and notice the harmony in the environment. There have been testing done, using, brain waves, like measuring brain waves. When people were placed in an environment that's properly Feng Shuied, then there would be more alpha and theta waves or brain waves, measured, versus a more chaotic environment would have a lot of high beta brain waves. So, there have been a lot of studies and scientific studies and data analysis that has been done on it, because initially people were curious about is this just a belief system or not? But if it's just a belief system, then all those scientific changes wouldn't happen that you can measure. Even though those who know more about measurements and the dowsing and the dowsing rods, the L-shaped rods that's used for a lot of Feng Shui directional measurements and other things, you can measure things. You can measure before and after of Feng Shui setup. So there have been a lot of studies about it, and some people understand it more, some people don't. But it's interesting also that even companies, even Western companies, spend a lot of money every year to feng shui their space, or they don't necessarily talk about it. A lot of times you hear about interior decoration or changing our space, but a lot of them follow those principles as some of the principles. There have been feng shui is done on logos of companies. I knew about companies, especially in Eastern Asia, that look at all their employees, their beneficial directions, and where they can be placed or where they can sit to create the most productivity for the company. So it's a very detailed system, but my goal is to really give you a brief overview and also let you know about holographic feng shui, where you don't have to go around change everything around you, your physical environment, but you can do it in the hologram. So how is it possible? Because all these energies that we're talking about, there's math, there is calculation, there is algorithm. So if the environment holds the math and the algorithms in your space, then even without placing that physical object, you would benefit from it. So think about having a water fountain. A feng shui master can say, you need to place a water fountain by your door or at this particular location. Now, if you bring in the energy and the calculations of the water fountain in your space, even if it's not on your physical space, it could be in your energetic space, it could be in the hologram, the holographic space. So when you bring that in, it will do the same things. So that's why I set up feng shui holograms, because I was really personally tired of all the calculations I was doing every month. There are monthly cycles, there are yearly cycles, there are general space feng shui, time feng shui, all of them. And I wanted to rise above that. And, I wanted to look at the equations and be able to change the math of feng shui. And that's actually how I started to play with the hologram many years ago, more than, I guess, maybe 10, 12 years ago now. And I just wanted to see those equations. I was curious, can I see them? Can I correct them? So my space is harmonious even without me having to place, wind chimes and rods and rings and fountains and, all kinds of stuff everywhere, on the wall, on the carpet, in different directions. So I was just curious, how can I, take it to the next level? How can I apply what I've studied, but then use a different space so that even, without placing objects, the equations can be corrected. The algorithms that represent the beneficial energy can exist. So that's how holographic feng shui was developed. So 2018, moving away from fire year, it's an earth year, and it's also considered a dog year. Why is it a dog year? Those many thousands of years ago who came up with all these names of the animals, the reason they have done it is not just because they wanted to assign some animals to the year, but they looked at the characteristics of the energy of the year and what qualities do these years and do these cycles bring in, these 12-year cycles bring in. So when they looked at these energies, they looked at what is the closest animal that holds some of these energies, so that it's easier for people to remember. And think about it. You can think about dog, the qualities of a dog, and it's what? It is friendship. It is a lot of grounding and nurturing energy. There is loyalty. There is honesty. A dog, creates a lot, or helps you with friendship. Gives you protection in certain ways. So all those energies are brought together in this year. So this is a powerful year to create friendship, create new connections. Take actions that would help you to move forward and be brave. Not just think about worst case scenario, which is never really good. If that pops up in your mind, notice it, then think about the best case scenario. But you really want to play with the best case scenarios this year. So we all can take action, and you can take actions that are beneficial for you. I will take actions that are beneficial for me, and then we can create success together. Okay. So a dog, the characteristic of a dog is also playfulness, right? It wants to play. So the energy of this year is also about playfulness. You have issues, you have challenges, you have things coming up. How do you add more fun and more playfulness, and then take action instead of looking at oh my goodness, what am I going to do, and be depressed and be afraid. Those type of energies won't play out that well this year. So you want to be playful with the with the universe, with the environment, with your goals, visions, ideas. Think about how can I make it more fun. What's the best case scenario? How can I move forward? What are the things I can do to shape my environment so environment supports me? What are some fun ways to write my book or publish my whatever you want to publish, or create a company or take it to the next level. So just think about how can you make it more playful so the energy supports you. So being brave, being playful, being nurturing, and being honest, being collaborate more, and then looking at friendships and long-term friendships. All those will really help you to ground a lot of the energies that you would like to manifest. Okay, so allow the energies of this year to support you to move forward. Yeah. So that's going to be really powerful and beneficial. So let's make sure we all move into that space so we can look forward to step by step taking action, setting up our space so our space supports us. Play with the holographic tools, meditate, focus on what you desire more, think about the best case scenario, think about those energies spiraling through you like a vortex, and all those energies of possibilities and manifestation going into every cell, every atom. Especially those of you who play with different star energies that I'm very passionate about. You can bring in all these star energies to help you ground your vision, help you manifest what you desire, bring in more possibilities, bring in more creativity. So let's use the holographic tools that way, so that you can think about some of your priorities. And if you haven't done it already, write them down before the new year begins, and write them down, and for the year, focus on those top 3 to 5 priorities. Not every single task list, but what are the main priorities? What are the objectives for the year? What would you like to accomplish around your connection and collaboration, around relationships, around abundance and prosperity, around health and wellness, around alignment, around recreation? Those could be your some of your top areas, or you may have some others, add those, but look at the top, maybe 3 to 5 areas, and let's really shift the energy this year in those areas, and that will create a ripple effect for you and help you in every other area. All right, so let's talk a little more about Feng Shui. When people hear about Feng Shui, generally they think about moving furniture around. That's just 10% of Space Feng Shui. There are 2 primary types of Feng Shui. One is Space Feng Shui, one is Time Feng Shui. And the Chinese New Year is connected to Time Feng Shui. Space Feng Shui is directional. That's the part about moving furniture around, in the traditional model, or placing objects in different parts of the house. It's more long-term. Space Feng Shui doesn't change every year, even though a word of caution though, as the poles change gradually, and that's not just a spiritual theory, that science. That's NASA knows it, and there's a shift that happens. We go through all these 26,000-year cycle where the axis changes and everything on the planet. You can look up more scientific data about it. But as we have the magnetic North Pole and the South Pole changing, the plates or the feng shui or how the cycles work, they also shift. So that's why space feng shui, even though the general space feng shui is the same, but because of all the magnetic shift, it changes slightly. Feng Shui holograms actually compensate for all of that and help you, constantly shift your space and refresh it. Okay, so there are two major types. One is space, one is time. Space Feng Shui, when you think about the moving furniture, that's just 10% of the foundational space Feng Shui. There is another 90%, which is more of the advanced space Feng Shui. The foundational space Feng Shui is based on the beneficial direction, and that means the empowering directions or the directions that are not empowering for you, and that you can find out by using your KUA number. It's a KUA, and it's a concept in Feng Shui for calculation. And there, by attending this call, you have access to two PDF documents. One is your guide for Feng Shui, your animal and element year. That document has information about your KUA number. So let me just quickly show you so you have a better idea about that and how the space Feng Shui is calculated. So I'm going to open up this document and I'm going to share my screen with you. All right, let me show you. So this is the Feng Shui Animal and Element Guide. And in this guide, you will notice, it has a bunch of these pages. And for, all these years, you have the dates, the beginning and the ending, the animal that's connected to this year, and the element that's connected to this year. So for example, if you're, let's say, somebody who is born in, let's say, in May 5th of 1980, then that person goes here, and that person's animal year is monkey, and that person's element is metal. So once you know your animal and element, find out from this list. The next thing to find out is the KUA number. It's a chart. And why is it important? Because it's divided into two groups, East and West. And based on the KUA number, you can find out what are empowering directions for you and what are not necessarily that empowering directions. So the model that's about when the directional and space Feng Shui model is about being able to face your empowering directions more, so it naturally energizes you. Now, in using holograms, I help you to neutralize and activate neutralize the non-beneficial directions and activate the power of the beneficial directions anyway. But when you can naturally take advantage of the cycle, then it empowers you more. So how do you find the KUA number? Again, it's based on your date of birth. So going back to that same one, so you have all these Chinese years, the New Year cycles, and the male KUA numbers and the female KUA numbers. They're different. So you can find that from this chart. And again, this chart, is a gift to you when you have accessed the this particular call on that thank you page or access detail page. There are links at the bottom. You can simply download the PDF and take a look. Now, going back to the same thing, we looked at the May 5th, 1980. So between February 16, 1980 and February 4th, 1981, you know, that's the, again, what was it? Metal monkey, I believe. Yes, see, metal monkey. So now going back to the core number, males born here in the metal monkey year, core number is 2, and for females, core number is 4. Okay, so you can find out the core number that way. And then what do you do with the core number? Here, the next page shows you for the core numbers 1, 3, 4, and 9, they're considered East group, and the core numbers 2, 5, 6, and 7 are 2, 5, 6, 7, 8 are considered West group. Okay, so for East group, you know, if you look at this, the beneficial or empowering directions are East, Southeast, North, and South. And for the West group, it will be the other 4. Now, there's a more details here about how in the system is considered, you know, which one is success, love, health, growth, consciousness, spiritual growth, you know, personal growth, business growth, all of that. You know, what is it? You know, what is the breakdown for each one of the East and West group? You know, you can look up that information. And when you can take advantage of that natural cycle, then it's just more empowering. Now, how did this calculation happen? You know, it's been there for many thousands of years. At the time, you know, they actually figured out or calculated all these compass degrees, connections, and you know, the beneficial information of all that information, you know, all the compass degrees. So it's a very complex system. But you know, if you want to study it, you can study it for the rest of your life. It's very detailed. So, but without going into all those details, you know, it's just the calculations are here, the examples are here, information is here, the basics are here, so you can just use them. Okay. So, all right, let me stop sharing that screen. Awesome. So that's the Space Feng Shui part. So you find out your core number, you find out the directions, empowering directions, and you face empowering directions as much as you can. That's the primary part of the Space Feng Shui. The other 90% of Space Feng Shui is actually, you know, something that you get when you get the Feng Shui, you know, measurements, you know, about how many negative vortex are in your space, how many positive vortices are in your space, how many geopathic stress line or negative harmony lines, negative Kari lines, you know, there are how many temple lines, empty lines, you know, these are all Feng Shui terms, but how many of those are in your space? So when there could be a bunch of them, when we set up the space using Feng Shui holograms, then after measurement would have none. Only ones that you will see is positive vortex, because the calculations of these stress lines and temple lines and empty lines and other lines that are not beneficial, they get neutralized. Okay. Now, why is this, you know, more powerful than just the Space Feng Shui? Why is this 90% of Space Feng Shui or more advanced Feng Shui? Because, you know, let's say if you are sitting in an office, or if you have a retail business and you have a cash register, and you know, there's a negative vortex, a lot of the negative vortex form because of multiple geopathic stress line intersections. So there is a negative vortex in your space, then it's a downward spiraling energy. And it's going to drain your energy. So you can do a lot of other things, but then if you're sitting on a negative vortex, if your business is on a negative vortex, if your cash register, if your, you know, front door or business door is on a negative vortex, it creates confusion in you. in people. So there's more distraction, and people don't know what to do. You make decisions that's not beneficial. So there are all kinds of energetic disturbance happens. So that's why it's important to neutralize those that are not beneficial and harmonize them and raise the energy. There's something called temple lines. Those are 0, 90, 180, 270, and 360 degrees. Now, interestingly though, in the old days, the ancient, all these ancient temples, churches, and many other religious organizations and buildings, they were placed facing temple lines because temple lines prevent relationships. So when those who look at these information and the data, when they find that, okay, a lot of these are facing 90 degrees or 180 degrees, that's because in those temples or in those churches or in those religious institutions, they wanted to prevent relationships. So then, when those are placed on temple lines, you wouldn't have to watch people. They would just be attracted to spiritual devotion and not personal relationship, not romantic relationship. Now, why is that important? Well, for churches, for a mosque, for synagogues, for temples, and for other types of religious institutions, or that's fine. Well, that could be fine if you're working there. But if a temple line, if your home is facing a temple line, or if a temple line is going straight through your front door, then it creates that more of a monk vibration, that you want to leave all the earthly stuff and you want to move away from relationships, and you just want to focus on spirituality and devotion. So a lot of times, people move and their homes are facing temple lines, and suddenly they get divorced, and the marriage could have been fine, but now suddenly the family breaks, just falls apart. So then a lot of that is because of the temple line influence. So these are all calculations, and these are very complex calculations. All these have been tested for so many thousands of years. So, I just wanted to give you some information so some of the detail, okay? So, one of the things, the traditional Feng Shui doesn't have much of a solution for some of the things like temple lines and empty lines, because, they're just degree lines. Unless you change your front door and use a different door, then that's not going to change. It's difficult to change that. But in the hologram, using holographic Feng Shui, the holographic plates actually rotates your space, so you don't necessarily, even though if your home is on a temple line, or if your business is on a temple line, the space is going to be rotated, so you don't, that doesn't influence you. So, those are all the extra benefits of holographic Feng Shui, where you don't have to go through all these physical setups and changes in manipulation, and you can just take advantage of the holographic plates that are placed in your environment for your home or office or business or land, property. So they're placed for those properties. Or apartments, it could be a house or apartment. So then the environment inside those holograms, in those plates, holographic plates that I call them, so that the calculations could be different. So there could be all these stress lines coming in, but as soon as they hit the perimeter of those holograms, the equations change, and then inside the space you have different equation. Okay. So that's really a very broad overview of how holographic Feng Shui works. So you can just play with some of those energies. Okay. Now let me show you a couple of things. When it comes to the directional Feng Shui, let me show you an image so you understand it more easily. So this is basically, what the directional Feng Shui looks like. and these are the direction here. These are all these energies that are held in these different directions and how the energy flows. So we know you look at when you look at directional feng shui, you look at activating the these directions or sides of your home or business that's empowering. So if you're looking for how the way it works traditionally is, if you're looking for more let's say fame and success and just having your information spread through the world, then you activate the south, and south has fame and all those energies, and it's fire. That's right, south is fire. So you activate south by a symbol of fire or something that represents fire, like a red color, or almost like something that looks like fire, or the shape of fire. So that way it's done. That's the activation process of feng shui using traditional model. So in a similar way, if you're focusing on your career growth, then you activate north, and north is blue water. So you activate it with a water energy, water symbol, watercolor, painting, all that. So that's just to give you an idea of the space feng shui layout, so you understand it. And using holograms, the activations are in your space already. So you don't have to physically activate it. You can do that for decoration purpose or for mental peace. For example, I have this. This is something I purchased a few years ago. It represents water energy, and I really liked it. So I have it on my desk, and I look at this as activating the north energy, but for me it's a decoration piece, and I program it also. Sometimes I spin that little sphere and look at helping more and more people all over the world. So I play with hologram that way. You can do that with also objects. So mentally you have that piece. It's a reminder for you if that helps, but the calculations and these energies are going to be built in already in the Space Feng Shui hologram. Okay, so that's Space Feng Shui, and then there is that the next thing that I mentioned is the Time Feng Shui hologram. And again, it sounds like it's a lot, and it is a lot, but you don't have to go into all those details. A lot of the details or a lot of the information is actually on the Life Harmonized Earth Dog Feng Shui page. You can look up. I'm giving you some more examples and information here. And so we talked about Space Feng Shui. Let me just talk a little bit about Time Feng Shui. Time Feng Shui is the you normally see it as like Chinese New Year. It's a 12-month cycle. There is a yearly cycle. There is also what's called a period feng shui, which is similar to time feng shui, but it's a 20-year cycle, which is actually more powerful than the yearly cycle because that's 20 years. And when you notice that sometimes feng shui masters talk about something is a lucky property or unlucky property, and they're looking at the period feng shui, what energies are held in that property, or what is it bringing you, and whether it's beneficial for you or not. Again, based on your Kuan number and your magnetic orientation on Earth. So whether it's beneficial for you or not. If it's not, then it's a 20-year period that's not beneficial for you. But there's a period feng shui hologram also that I place. Then that energy, the non-beneficial energy, can be neutralized or harmonized, and the beneficial energy can be enhanced. So let me quickly show you how time feng shui works, and to help you really understand the calculation, I'm going to use this particular time feng shui or flying star. It's also called flying star in generally. And this is from Fire Rooster 2017. The reason I'm showing this to you because one is in the center. So there are 9 flying stars. 1, 4, 6, 8 are considered positive or empowering flying stars. 2, 3, 5, and 7 are considered limiting flying stars. So you activate empowering flying stars, you harmonize or neutralize limiting flying stars, or the ones that are causing disharmony. Now, feng shui has some scary terms, and again, I'm, for example, 5 star, 7 star, I modified and softened these, some of the traditional terms are more scary, but I don't want to, look at that. But I just want to maintain also a decent connection, so somebody who knows more about traditional feng shui can look at it and still understand it. So, a 5 star is, it's also a transformation. It's not just that, but what we want to look at is how do you, harmonize this energy so it becomes a transformation energy, and loss becomes gain. How do you neutralize 7 star energy so misfortune becomes fortune? So the way flying stars work this for the years is look at the flow from 1 to 2, 2 to 3, 3 to 4, 4 to 5, 5 to 6, 6 to 7, 7 to 8, 8 to 9. That's how the energy flows in a space when it comes to the flying star calculation. So look at the flow, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. If you have empty 9 squares and run your fingers that way, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, that's how the energy flows, and that's how the cycle flows, okay? So it goes from 1 through 9, then again it starts with 1. For the years, now look at the center, 1, right? It's for last year. The previous one, year 2016, had 2 here. So every year it goes down by 1. So what's 2018? What's the Earth dog? Look at this. It's going to go down by 1. And it's from 1 to 9, so there is no 0. So go down by 1, that means the next year is 9. So here, let me show you the 2018 flying stars. And there you go. Here. So the center, it went down by 1, so now it's 9. So again, the flow is the same. Look at it, 9, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. If you run your fingers through those numbers, starting from center, and given that this is east, this is west, this is north, this is south, sometimes in some feng shui sites, you would see different orientation. They may have east on top. So then the grid will change. But the easiest way, this is the easiest way to see it. So from the center, this is how the calculation works. So you may have seen the grid, especially some who are more into feng shui, and you think it's a very complicated calculations. Only feng shui masters can do that. You can do it too. Yes. So 9, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So that's how the energy moves. Next year, it's going to be 1 less, so 8 at the center. Calculation is going to be 8, 9, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, right? So the same way, same energy, same cycle, just the numbers change every year. So this is the yearly flying star cycle for 2018, the Earth Dog year. There is also a 20-year flying star cycle, which is different. Then there are monthly cycles, don't want to go into that kind of complication. But I was sensitive enough so that I had to do things for the monthly cycle also. And when I, used the traditional model for 20-year cycle, a yearly cycle, monthly cycle, then my system was a lot more in harmony. So I just want to let you know, because sometimes you're very sensitive to the energy and the flow and everything, and you want to look at how much your space can help you, how much can you shift your environment so your space supports you. Now, sometimes I get inquiry, well, my next door neighbor is very loud. Will he or she stop playing loud music? Well, Feng Shui is about all these cycles to harmonize your space. It's not doing anything to your next door neighbor to stop playing music. That may be a communication thing. You can have a conversation about that. So sometimes I get interesting questions like that. But understand, Feng Shui is about using the energies and the elements and the cycles and all the flows to harmonize your space, your home, office, business, maybe your farmland. Farmland is slightly different. So if you have a business and you're placing a Feng Shui order for business, let me also specify what kind of business that is, because if it's a casino or a bar, then the Feng Shui is going to be slightly different than just a normal business. So make sure you keep that in mind. But this is the general cycle for the Chinese New Year, and the Chinese New Year officially begins on the 16th of February this year. And that means in the western part of the world, that's going to be the 15th of February when the official beginning happens in the East. So a few things that I would really ask you to do before the New Year starts. One thing is detox, right? Space clearing. Your physical space clearing and your digital space clearing. So clutter creates disharmony, creates confusion, creates a lot of energetic interference. So you want to keep your space as clean as possible. If you have stuff everywhere, that's not empowering you. You can do a lot of great things, a lot of meditation, but the moment you look around you, if you see something broken or a piece of paper on the floor or this there, and your brain is thinking, I need to change it, I need to replace that, I need to get something else and hire somebody to fix this, then constantly your system is in stress. It's not relaxed. It's not, aligning with the flow of abundance anymore, because it's constantly fighting. So you want to reshape your space and you want to clean up your space as much as you can. One of my tasks is, when I moved a few months ago, I still have some boxes in one of the closets, and those are things I don't necessarily need. So I do need to look inside some of those boxes and see. There are probably like 7 or 8 there. There are some, bedding items. I want to make sure that I take those out and just put them on the shelf. So instead of having those in boxes, even though it's inside a closet that is closed in the middle of the house and nobody's seeing it, but mentally I know that, right? I know. It has been my a task list for a few months, and I keep thinking about, okay, and next weekend I need to look at fixing that and throwing out the boxes, and if something I don't need, then I can throw that out. Well, pretty much everything I brought with me are the things that I need, or some decorative items, but I do want to, that's one of my projects, to make sure that even the closet space is clean. So starting now till the Feng Shui begins, and if you're watching this or listening to this after the Feng Shui, then make sure you still do that. Go through closet by closet, room by room, and then look into your drawers and everything. Things that you don't need, donate or throw them away, recycle, and clear your space. Clean up your home, office, clean up your computer space, clean up your desktop. Sometimes I see desktop with 300 icons. I have no idea where to look. Think about the universe is looking, and there's just all confusion all around you. So the east, west, north, south cycle that I talked about, the traditional models of the Feng Shui masters also apply that to the computer. So the left side is east, right side is west, towards you is north, away from you or the top of the computer is south. They also look at that as your digital space and digital environment. So it really depends on how much you want to play with these, but clean up your trash, like well, not just the physical trash, but your computer's recycling bin. So when you place things there, after a couple of weeks, clean up or empty trash. If you don't do it immediately, still do it then, and clean up some of your folders. Arrange your desktop. If you have a lot of things, then put them in folders and see how you can group things so your desktop is clean and have an empowering image on your desktop. And what's an empowering image? Look at the productive cycles of elements that is in your Feng Shui element and for color, element and colors for prosperity guide. Let me just give you a quick sneak peek at it. All right, and this is again something that you have received as a gift for joining this call. So this is the color document, some information, and that's the productive cycle. We look at the productive cycle. So fire, earth, metal, water, wood. This is the cycle. Productive cycle is wood nurtures fire. So see the arrow going toward it like clockwise. That's the productive cycle. Wood nurtures fire. Fire nurtures earth, or fire produces earth. Ashes create earth. Earth nurtures metal. Metal grows inside earth. Metal is a part of earth. Metal holds water. Metal carries water. Water nurtures wood. That's the productive cycle. Weakening cycle is the reverse. Fire burns wood. Water rusts metal. So that's the weakening cycle. And controlling cycle is these arrow marks. Water distinguishes fire. Fire melts metal. Metal cuts wood. So that's the other cycle. So you can take a look at it. You want to look at how can you surround yourself more with productive cycle or empowering cycle. So if you are earth, then what's beneficial? Earth and fire, because fire produces earth. If you are wood, what's beneficial? Wood and water, because water nurtures wood. So look at these documents, and there's a lot of information for you, and you can naturally take advantage of some of these cycles. What do you wear? What do you have around you? If you are wood, now fire burns wood, right? So if you are wood and all you're wearing is red and everything around you is red, your system is could be very stressed because there's a lot of burning energy. So what would be more empowering? Wood color clothes and objects, or watercolor clothes and objects. They'll be more empowering for you. So do take a look at some of these and see what's beneficial and what can help you and what will empower you. All right, so now let's see, a couple things I wanted to mention. The last thing is, why is it really beneficial or important to take advantage of these cycles? Because you want your environment or your space to support you. When your space supports you, then your meditations could be deeper. Your focus could be deeper. And think about it. If you go, let's say, if you go to a place that's dirty, that's crowded, people are yelling all the time, can you really have a peaceful meditation practice there? Can you really focus on, raising your consciousness, expanding your consciousness, creating more income, creating more savings, and expanding your company? That's not a beneficial or empowering environment for you. But if you're in nature, if you're surrounded by your empowering elements, and if you're, if you're in a a nice peaceful environment, then this environment surrounds you with a lot of empowering energies, or what's known as positive energies, or positive chi. Then that's going to help you raise your vibration and help you focus more, receive more clarity, ground more of the energies that you're looking for. So make sure you do whatever you can to reshape your space, so that first your space supports you. Once your space supports you, then that's out of the way. Then you can focus on other things more easily. But make sure your space supports you. Now, so that's why I like to make it simpler. Instead of having all these setups for Space Feng Shui, yearly cycle, 20-year cycle, and everything else, you can simply set up Feng Shui holograms. And I will begin to set up the holograms after the energy anchors. So it's probably going to take a few more weeks for the earth energy to anchor. When I notice that the energy has properly grounded and clicked, then I will begin to set up. At the moment, though the orders that I have so far, assuming I can start the last week of February, sometimes I need to wait a little longer for that energy to really ground. But when I see it and notice it, then I will start. I keep experimenting with my space, and constantly looking at some of the things as the cycle begins. So at the moment, most likely the orders I have will take me through at least mid-March, maybe the third week of March. So, once the cycle begins, then, I do them as fast as I can. So those of you who are placing orders now, by the time you get it, probably like sometime after mid-March, I will know more once I begin the setup. So that's going to be holographic Feng Shui. So those of you who are really looking forward to harmonize your space, if you have never set up Feng Shui, then it's going to be a new holographic Feng Shui setup for you, where you get the Space Feng Shui hologram. The advanced Space Feng Shui is a part of it. The Kuo number hologram is a part of it. So your empowering directions are activated. Then the period Feng Shui, the 20-year cycle hologram. Then the yearly Feng Shui hologram. And there are other steps in between too. So all of those together really help you to shape your space and create a more harmonious space and harmonious flow. So it supports you, and then you can focus more on things that are more important for you and things that are priorities for you. Those of you who have any of the previous holographic Feng Shui setup, you don't have to order a new Feng Shui for the same space. You just need to upgrade it so that the new any new calculations for the primarily for the yearly Feng Shui, so the time Feng Shui cycle, I do that. But what I actually do is I redo your setup anyway. So I run through all the steps, because generally I make each year I make some modifications to even the Space Feng Shui holograms, the one that doesn't really change much. But anything else, anything new I add, I put all the new holograms on your space, and I set up your space with all of that. So that's really, holographic Feng Shui. It takes all the work and headache out of doing things manually, moving things around, place objects and stuff all over the home, office, business. And I do my best to keep it cost effective, so that when you place your order, look at your square footage, or if you are in a different system, just convert that the information on the website to your unit, like square meters or something. It starts with up to 2,000 square feet of home, and then for every every 500 additional square feet, then I have like different setups. So if you have a business in your home, like if you have a room in your home, in your that's your office, then that would I still consider that residential feng shui. So, for example, my home, my office is one room inside my home, so that's still residential feng shui. If you have different locations, or you have a home and on the other side you have an office, or it's in a building, that's a business feng shui. What I normally do, so like I know my space, this is the office room, so there are different holograms for residential and office or business, because in an office feng shui, the direction that's about love and relationship and marriage, and partnership in a home. For business, it's going to be changed to relationship with your customers and clients and employer and employees. So the some of the calculations is different. So that's why the business and business and residential feng shui holograms are slightly different. Okay, so and that's mostly what I wanted to cover. Let me just take a look at the page. So I would like to do more informational calls in the future, and you can find out more information. But those of you who are ready, then you can take a look at the site and see whether you need to upgrade your feng shui setup, an older one. And even if you have, let's say, a 2013 setup, you can still use an upgrade feng shui, holographic feng shui upgrade setup instead of a new setup. Only choose new setup if you have no holographic feng shui setup at that at that property. So all of this is available for you. In the East, even like 1,000 square foot home, some of the feng shui masters charge between $5,000 to $8,000, and I know about some, and I also know for some of them there's like a 3-month waiting list in Hong Kong, China, and some of the areas. So that's one option that you have, but you can also play with holographic feng shui. But even before that, use the guidance from the PDFs for color, for Kuo number, for empowering directions, and what I talked about, space clearing. So let's do the physical space clearing and digital space clearing, so it really empowers you and you prepare for the next the new year. As we approach the new year and the Chinese New Year, and as you do the space clearing and digital space clearing, have that intention that as I'm doing all of this, I am clearing all the clutter, I'm taking out all disharmony, all issues, challenges from my life, and I'm allowing new solutions and possibilities and opportunities and abundance and prosperity to come into my life. Okay, so make that goal, make that vision, make that intention, and let's really make it a powerful year for you. All right, so let me take a look and see if any of you have any question. If you have any question, you can press star. Well, you can raise your hand using the control panel. And in my other system, I will still look at the webcast. So if you want to ask any question about feng shui or setup or anything, then you can use the webcast window and post your question there. So there's a question about what if we have items in a storage space outside of our home? So that's not affecting your home because that's not in your home. However, mentally it's there. If it's all a big mess, clean it up. And as you clean it up, then have that vision, send out that signal to the universe that as I'm cleaning this up, I'm attracting more opportunities and possibilities. But your storage space. So the idea is, yes, you have the storage space. You use it in a way that's still empowering, but it's still not inside your home. So it's not going to. It's not a part of your residential or business feng shui. How long do the holographic feng shui setup last? So the space feng shui is always there. Each year, the time feng shui holograms are updated. And each year, I actually still redo all the things. So, when you have a setup, for example, your foundational space feng shui hologram, let's say even if you have a 2014 setup, your foundational space feng shui hologram will still be there. But the time feng shui hologram, as it changes, it gets turned off, and then the new one starts the next for the next year. So that's why I have the upgrade option. So each year I basically set up any of the enhancements, and especially the new year energy and all the cycles and new flying star energies. So as I mentioned, like some of the flying stars, like 2, 3, 5, and 7, they need to be harmonized or neutralized or transformed. And the ones that are beneficial, those energies, they can be activated. And if you actually look at the flying stars, look at the colors respond to their associated element. So, 7 is in a silver color because it's a metallic element. The flying star represents the metal element. And, using traditional feng shui, how do you neutralize more metal element? Because, you add some water. So water reduces the intensity of metal, right? So, that would be the traditional model. In the holographic feng shui, all those calculations and algorithms and energetic information, symbols, codes, objects are already placed. So, you can do something for your peace of mind. So you can see something that represents abundance to you, and you can be reminded of abundance constantly. And, you can do that. Otherwise, the calculation is there. Okay. If you purchase the upgrade, again, is mid-March too late? No, nothing is too late. We're just starting the cycle. So at the moment, the orders that I already have, it will most likely take me through mid-March. So, if you're placing in mid-March, I'm guessing, depending on how much I can catch up, it could be maybe beginning of April, that maybe when your setup is done, again, I will know once the energy anchors and how quickly things move. Because when I tune into the energies and when I look at the pictures, a lot of times I look at the maps and I also look at what's around you. So some of the things I do is for at least 1 mile radius, do a more like an energetic atomic structure alignment, a deep cleansing of all the homes, offices, business property. So basically a 1 mile radius area, so your property can hold the energy. Then I do some entity clearing and cleansing for 1 mile radius area, around your for your surroundings, above, below, all that. And for your personal property, then I set up all the holograms. But the general deep cleansing, atomic structure alignment, the entity clearing and healing, all of those are done for 1 mile radius. So the environment benefits you. And if you are in an apartment, then the building gets some foundational setup. So the building holds the energy, and the building goes through all the deep cleansing and releasing a lot of the entities, forms that are not beneficial, or they may be stuck somewhere. And your personal apartment has all the holograms set up for space feng shui, time feng shui, year feng shui, core number feng shui, and all that. All right, so let me switch to the webcast and see if there are questions around Feng Shui. From Jan, New York, it is impossible for me to change position of furniture. Can you address that? Well, that's holographic feng shui. You don't need to change furniture or anything. The holographic feng shui, the holograms reshapes your space. So all the calculations go into the hologram. So your space can be rotated, your space can be reshaped for you, and it has the activations and cures already. So you don't need to change all the furniture. That's why actually the holographic feng shui is more popular, and more people are finding out about them. And thanks to one of our my friends in China who is spreading the word there, and a lot of people in China is getting more interested, and they're finding out from her about holographic feng shui, and she's sending feng shui orders from China. She's translating the documents in China. So we're looking at how to educate people more about feng shui, how to look at companies and help companies more about feng shui. Because when your space is in harmony, if you have a company, your company is in harmony, and when your space supports the people, supports the work and everything, then it's easier to do the rest. So you can take out the environmental disharmony from your space. So there are some questions about specific elements. Your fire dog, how would the dog ear relate to the fire element, since wood feeds fire? So for fire, so for example, if you're a fire, then you can use more of the empowering elements to support you. So you can look at the color document for prosperity. So if you're fire, then what supports you? Wood supports you, fire supports you. So bring some more of those elements for you. For in your day-to-day life, look at your clothing, look at your space, so then your space can have more of that energy to support you. Okay. From Joanne, Chinese New Year has some traditional protocols such as not washing one's hair or using knives, as these practices believed to be remove good luck. By using holographic installation, can these practices be released? So I don't do any of the practice. So here's the thing though, there are systems and calculations like feng shui, and then there are belief systems or superstition, like something that we have back home, where I grew up is my mother, my grandmother talked about that, like, if they see somebody who passed away, that means somebody in the family may pass soon. So it causes fear in people. But when I looked at other cultures and I started to look at understand them, like when I was visiting Peru, and I told the shaman when I was there that I saw somebody close to me, and that person was alive, but I saw that person died, and he was so excited, like, was there blood, because for them it's a huge transformation, and more blood means a major life transformation and a lot of beneficial things coming to you. So so a lot of that depends on the culture and the belief system. I would detach from those, and I would actually look at what's truly empowering in the system itself. How can you use the holographic tools to override some of the benefits? Empowering, bringing more of the benefits. Well, for example, you use rings of harmony to shift energy, and especially you use restore inner abundance a lot. That's something I use very, very often, pretty much all the time. Run them through your home, office, business, bank accounts, and run the tools that are more empowering. Run the tools around abundance, love, health, and wellness. Run some of the star tools. If you have been a part of spiritual alchemy, they're really, really powerful. So you can use them to support the feng shui. Because once the setup is done, every day, use different tools, raise the energy more, focus on more abundance. So then, step by step, build your new reality and enhance that your existing reality. From Max, do you have advanced water dragon formula in the hologram? I'm not sure what you mean. Water dragon is that was 2012 feng shui. The element was dragon, and the element was water, and the animal was dragon. So there is no water dragon formula. But the feng shui calculations are done for elements and all the animal years, and for all the new years, and the 20-year cycle, the 12-month cycle, even the monthly cycle. Those are done there also. Will there be a replay including visuals? Yes, I will post the video on the thank you page, so you can watch it anytime. Kat from Massachusetts, it seems like my house attracts clutter no matter what I do with Space Feng Shui. It's never like this with any other house where I've lived. Any idea? Well, so you gotta make a little bit of the more conscious effort in cleaning up your space. But I don't know your house, and there could be empty lines causing interference, or sometimes negative vortex can cause interference in certain areas. So you can take a look at those. But certainly, make that habit that we'll see where or what kind of clutter is piling up. For one of my things is, since I do most things online, pretty much everything online, letters pile up, and then I, keep them somewhere, and after a while, then I just, the ones, I think I may put them in an envelope or, in a shelf, the ones that are, like bank stuff and other things that they send me physical mail when they send me physical mail. And so I need to be conscious that I don't put letters all over the home. I can put them in one space, and every week or however often I look at them, I want to make sure that things that are important for me, those are moved to the shelf or wherever I place my important mails to the drawer, and the ones that are not beneficial or I don't need them, then I can shred the address part and recycle the rest. Let's see. From Dolores from Ecuador, you have a neighbor who constantly throws stones at your home. Why? My house is under kind of hostile attack. This is not a harmonious environment for me. Well, feng shui eliminate this kind of hostile environment. So this is so that's something I was talking about. Feng shui will, the place, what they do is create harmony in the space. So somebody doing something from outside, that should be a conversation. So now people have mentioned that after feng shui set up, sometimes their neighbors moved, or new neighbors came in, or those who were causing issues around them, they disappeared. So I've heard a lot of those stories too. But I don't like to put that claim that that other people and your neighbors and everybody will change. Some people mentioned That may or may not be, I don't know, but it would be more of a conversation and look at, why that's happening, and how do you shift that energy. Is space clearing as important if we have remote feng shui set up like holographic feng shui? So it's more for you, because if your space is full of clutter, so the feng shui holograms will bring in all these calculations and energies. But when you look at a space and you're just thinking in your mind, okay, I need to change, and this is this, and that shouldn't be there, and this broken, and I need to throw that out. You're constantly, there's a lot of energetic disturbance. You're constantly faced with that. So that's for your benefit, for your energy system, so that your system is in peace. So that's why it's important that you keep your space clean, because otherwise the feng shui setup can be there, but if you are in an environment and you're just not happy with your space because you have all kinds of stuff around you, then it's not empowering for you. Even if it has feng shui, then you still want to do your best to make sure your space is clean. So you take care of it. You send out that signal out into the universe that yes, I am taking care of my space, and I'm looking at more abundance and opportunity and everything else. Let's take a look. So a number of you have mentioned about clutter. Yeah, let's make a group effort to to look at clutter. Don't think on next Saturday I'm gonna take care of my whole house. Probably that's not gonna happen. I mean, you may have been making that goal for years. Take one room, take one closet, take one shelf at a time, and clean up, shift some of the energy. Once you shift that, the space will have a little more vibrancy, so then you can do more and more. Okay. All right, let's take a look at, I don't see anybody raising hands. So on the video, I was going through the webcast questions, and let's take a look at the video chat window. Again, there are questions about junk and clutter and everything. Make sure you clean up. Then you send out the signal that you're focusing on attracting empowering solutions. So that's something we all need to make a habit of doing. So we keep up space clean, physical space clean, digital space clean. So we send out clear signal that I'm keeping my space clean. I'm making room for new, and allow more or a stronger flow of love, joy, harmony, abundance, collaboration, and all those energies to come in. Question about, in my life there's a lot of resistance and the house is a lot of junk, how to deal with that. The relationship is very hostile. So one of the things I've already mentioned about space clearing and digital space clearing, certainly do that. And for resistance, first of all, use the rings of harmony, use some of the holographic tools, and run the rings of harmony for yourself, for all the rooms in the house, for the home, for all the family members, and flush out dirty water. When you run the rings of harmony, in your mind, picture dirty water coming out of all of you and the property. So you are creating a visual for your analytical brain that you're letting go of all the things that's not empowering in the form of dirty water. It's going into a recycling bin, it's getting recycled, and you're at some point, your entire property and everybody in it lights up in bright, shiny colors. So you can make that visual, but certainly use the rings of harmony and shift some of the energetic patterns. Now, sometimes when we hold on to a lot of different issues and stuff, we may notice that we need to cross a certain threshold so that the results can show up. So it kind of seem like you're going up on a hill, and then when you reach the top, then it's more easy, and you can move forward faster. So when you shift the energies using some of the tools and processes, then you can shift to reality faster. All right, I think those are all the questions on the call. So, all right. Another new question: can I use Dead Sea Salt Vortex in my home? Well, like yes, you can use the Salt Vortex. We played with those templates in the Guardian of Your Universe program. So certainly use the Dead Sea Salt Vortex. Those of you who have the program and have the holographic templates. There's a Himalayan Salt Vortex template, Dead Sea Salt Vortex template. Run those for your home, office, business, for yourself on a regular basis. Run it for your for the planet. And again, it takes a second to call that energy, and it's just be in that energy, for a minute, for a few minutes, and or just run it in the background. So it just takes all the work out of you. You can just call the template and be happy. Okay. All right. So that's pretty much what I want to cover. So before we go, let's just do maybe a quick few minutes of deep cleansing, because a lot of you have mentioned about clutter. So just close your eyes, breathe in and out deeply and gently a few times. Look at your space in your mind. Notice your home, office, business, wherever you are. Notice all the rooms. Think about any clutter you may have there. Look at your personal field. And then you may have a lot of clutter there. And that clutter, personal clutter, could also mean your body is not getting the food or nutrition it wants, or there is a disharmony in the flow of energy in the body. So let's look at the space, and I'm going to tune into all of your holograms, realities, and let's just run the rings of harmony for every one of your homes or location wherever you are. Notice dirty water coming out at full force from your property and going into a recycling bin. It's coming out of every room, every closet, every bathroom, every object in the home. Think about all the clutter in your home, placing them in recycling bins or trash cans, sanitation department taking all of those out, and they're all out of your home, and your physical space is clean. Now I'm going to bring in the spiraling rays of the sun, and let's have a gentle spiraling vortex going through every room and your entire property. If you're in the building, allow that energy to go through the entire building. Notice that every single room and the entire property is getting cleansed, including the walls. And your entire property becomes bright, shiny, and vibrant. Let's breathe in and out deeply and gently a few more times. Come back to your present moment. Grab your hands together and gently open your eyes. All right. Great. So thank you very much for joining. If you let's also tune into the Chinese New Year celebration. If you get a chance, watch a little bit of the celebration, either live or on YouTube video or whatever. There's lots of sites and news sites that will show information. So it's a gigantic group or collective consciousness. Over a billion or billion and a half people on the planet will celebrate a brand new beginning. So let's tune to that energy and create that vision and create that universal connection that as the new year approaches and as it begins, you are empowered by all these celebrations of billion and a half people on the planet, and a stronger flow of cosmic love, joy, harmony, abundance, collaboration begin to spiral through you. So harness the energy of the celebration and think about that celebration energy spiraling through the entire planet, through your entire year, through every day of your life, and life becomes magical. So create that goal, do some physical and digital space cleanup, learn more about the holographic feng shui and the setups, and instead of all the traditional work, you can simply use feng shui holograms to set up and take care of your space. So let's play a lot this year in grounding these energies. So the feng shui hologram, you can look at the Art Dog feng shui setup on the Life Harmonized page, and simply look at what attracts you and which part would benefit you the most. You can learn more about different types of energy and the flying stars and everything there. So do take a look, and wishing you a lot of magic and miracles this year. Just remember, if you have placed your order already, then I will begin the setup most likely around the last week of February, but depending on when the energy anchors. So those of you who are setting up or who will be placing the orders, you'll get your order maybe in the second half of the March, second half of next month. So maybe toward the third week of March or after the 15th, so third, fourth week, depending on how all the setups and everything goes. So Take care. Have a lot of magic this year. If you have any questions, then feel free to email support@lifeharmonized.com, and make sure to play with the PDF documents that you have received. If you haven't downloaded, download it. And there's also a feng shui quiz on the homepage under the under the blog. Take the quiz and have fun. So take care. Bye bye.